There's literally no way I can hold all of these up. You can't even see me anymore.
What is it with this video? I swear to God, I've never heard of these words before. Hey, my name is Yasmina, and I just moved to a new house, and I built my own personal office/library. So you know what that means. I bought more books to put on all these shelves. Let's do a book haul. I have a lot of books to show you guys. First off, real quick, I received a lot of my old things from my childhood home back in Romania, and that includes all the books, but I only kept some, but I did add them to these shelves, even though I've had them before. I actually have a video of like my childhood bookshelf tour. If you're ever curious of checking that out, I'll link that up here in the description. But these are just some of the ones that I kept. But I'm just gonna quickly go through them. So first I have 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen Johnson. This is a cute YA contemporary. I liked it when I read it at the time and I just decided to keep it. Then I have two Dan Brown books, Deception Point and Angels and Demons. These are the second and third book, I think, in the Robert Langdon, Da Vinci Code thriller series. Then I have Yes Man by Danny Wallace. This is a book that holds a very special place in my heart, so I just decided to keep it. And then a sci-fi, this is The Portable Door by Tom Holt. Again, this is a really random book that I picked up a long time ago, and I remember really liking it. I thought it was funny. Then I have some Romanian books that are special to me. First of all, we have the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit. So these are the Romanian versions that I personally read when I was a child. I'll just show you the covers of them because I don't know, I think it's cool. I've never seen these covers on any other editions of Lord of the Rings, so. And then, I don't want to talk too much more about this series, but I just have to mention it. I have two of my Harry Potter book collections. These are the Romanian versions. These are the first three books, and I have the fourth book in hardback, Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, and The Deathly Hallows. These are the versions that I read as a youngin', and I actually wrote here the date when I bought it, which was the 12th of February 2005. I would have been 12 when I read this because I remember I was very, very upset that I had missed the time window to go to Hogwarts because they go when they're 11. Anyway, I also have another set of the Harry Potter books. These are the UK paperbacks, but I'm missing one. I'm missing Chamber of Secrets. Yeah, so I only have 6 here, but you know what these look like. They're these editions. Alright, so those were all the books that I kept from my childhood home. Now let's get into the new books that I bought for myself. Okay, let's start off with science fiction and fantasy, okay? Because, yeah, I'm just gonna pull randomly from the big pile. So first off, we have The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chusky. And I picked this up because I heard a booktuber talk about how this was a heist story that had a lot of puzzle elements to the story, and there's actual clues in the paperback. Let me find one if I can. So there's like things like this in the actual book, and that made me very excited. I love scavenger hunts. I wrote an entire book based on a scavenger hunt. I love competitions and scavenger hunts, and so I had to get this. Next, I have 2 self-published books that were kindly sent to me by the authors. The first one I have is called Casting Shadows by Diana Taylor. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. It says, there's always been something haunting about Harper's Ferry, maybe because it's old Civil War ground, or the fact that ever since arriving, Rebecca has started seeing things she can't explain, things lurking in the shadows, in the farthest corners of the streets, their voices whispering, things out to get her. But one night, when a man named Derek saves her from certain death, Rebecca can't help but feel that some good can come from the shadows. And then the other self-published novel that I received is called Tempest of Bravor, Kingdom Ascent by Valina D'Angelis. This says, we live brave, we die free. Darkness has fallen upon the golden kingdom of Bravor. Once the beacon of an alliance uniting 4 races, Bravor is now under the oppression of an elven prince from beneath the surface. Not even the Dragonborn from prophecy was able to stop him from conquering the land. Anna, a runaway mage, rises above the decades of grief and returns to the fight, where she joins the united soldiers of the resistance. She and the rebels soon embark on a covert mission to save the kingdom, but the past and the secrets she keeps will soon come knocking, and Anna will face her demons as she faces the false king. It has a really cool map. Maps are always great, and I really like that the author wrote me a handwritten letter and also signed the book with a little note, and the other one is signed as well, actually. I don't know if you can see that, but I just love receiving books from authors. It just makes it a much more special experience when they can send it to me directly and they can give me little notes and, sign them. It's just so cool to have them, and I'm really looking forward to reading both of these and letting you guys know what I think of them. Then I have a Witcher book. This is Season of Storms. This is the second book. It's the second collection of short stories in the series. So it's still not the first novel. From the reading order that I found, this is the second book that you should read. I had already read the first one and really, really loved it. So pick this up and excited to continue on with the Witcher series. Then I have Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book in the Skyward series, and if you've seen some of my previous recent videos, you know that I absolutely loved Skyward. It's my favorite book that I've read so far this year, and so of course I had to pick up the sequel as soon as possible. This is YA sci-fi. It's incredible spaceship fights, fantastic humorous characters, one of the best YA protagonists I've read in a long time, no romance arc, just amazing. Amazing. Then I have The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, and I've always was interested in this book. First of all, this cover is gorgeous, but I also know it's kind of a dark fantasy inspired by fairy tales, I'm pretty sure. Alice's mother is stolen away by a figure who claims to come from the supernatural world where the fairy tales are set. Alice's only clue is the message left behind: stay away from the Hazelwood. So that sounds really cool. Then I have Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I have a bit of a hit or miss history with Naomi Novik's books. However, I did really love her Uprooted book, and this is kind of in the same vein, but this is inspired by Russian mythology. That's really all I know about it, but I have heard really, really great things about this specific one. Then I have a gorgeous book. This is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, and oh my god, I cannot get over this edition. It is one of the most gorgeous books I have on my shelf. I cannot. It's illustrated as well. Let me see if I can find a spread. This is just a random spread inside of it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And again, I fell in love with Neil Gaiman once again because I've read some of his books recently and I just want to read everything he's ever written. I adore his writing style. And I know this one is supposed to be really, really good. So I'm very excited. This is definitely gonna be on my TBR soon. Then I have Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. And this is also an Asian-inspired fantasy that I've been meaning to pick up for the longest time. It also has a gorgeous cover. This one says, "A Tailor in Disguise, 3 legendary dresses, the competition of a lifetime." So this is, I know, somehow involving magic, inspired by like tailoring and a competition. And that's all I need to know. I love competitions in books, so I'm very excited. Then I have Bloody Rose by Nicholas Eames. This is the second book in the Banned series of companion novels. The first book is Kings of the Wild, and again, if you've watched my channel, I adored that book. One of my favorite books that I've read so far this year, and again, I had to pick up the sequel. This series is inspired by music. The first book was heavily inspired by 70s rock music. This one is 80s music in general, and the third book will be inspired by 90s music, and it's just fantastic. Definitely check out Kings of the Wild if you haven't already. I would highly, highly recommend it. Then I have a rather new release. This is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri, and I've started seeing this book everywhere recently, and it just caught my eye, so I bought it. That's how I end up with most of my books. This says, "Trapped by her despotic, that's a word I have never seen before. Thank you, book, for teaching me a new word. Trapped by her despotic brother within the crumbling walls of an ancient temple, Princess Malini dreams of vengeance. Meanwhile, maidservant Priya, forced to disavow so many words, forced to disavow her power and her birthright because of her past, dreams of freedom. In a world beset... Seriously, what is it with this description? I've never heard of these words before. In a world beset by wild magic and turbulent uprising, their destinies will become irrevocably tangled, and together they will set an empire ablaze. Hold on, what does despotic mean? Despotic, adjective of or typical of a despot. Tyrannical. He was a tyrant. Why can't you just use that word? Why the fancy words? Is this book gonna have a lot of fancy words that I'll have to look up? Because that never happens. Then I have the 5th book in the Wayward Children series. This is Come Tumbling Down. I recently read this on Kindle. Actually, I had the Kindle version, but I decided to pick up the physical copy as well, just to add to my collection because I have all the rest. This series of fantasy novellas handles the topic of children who fall into magical worlds and basically what happens to them, and sometimes what happens to them when they come back to the real world and the consequences of that. This was not my favorite of the series, but I still wanted to have it, so I have it. Okay, there is more. That's all the fantasy and sci-fi, but don't leave because there's more awesome books that I'm super excited about. I have a graphic novel, which is something I have not bought in quite a long time. This was actually kindly sent to me by the publisher because I thought this sounded awesome and I agreed for them to send me a review copy. This is called The Curie Society. This says it's a fun comic starring heroines who find themselves solving one scientific puzzle after the next. 3 brilliant young women join a sisterhood of science and find themselves drawn into an adventure that will test their courage, knowledge, and friendship. A refreshing and empowering read. So basically, bunch of awesome girls in STEM. And I work in STEM, and I think more girls should work in STEM. I'm gonna read this and review it for you guys at some point. I'm excited because I have not read a graphic novel in quite a while, and this is kind of the art style. Smells really good as well. 10 out of 10. Good book smell. Okay, next up I have a tiny little book. This is called The Jasmine Moon Murder by Laura Childs. And this is a tiny little cozy mystery. I just think it's so cute. It's so cute. Anyway, this is a tea shop mystery. Page turner. Recipes and tea time tips included, you guys. And I have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have seen this book literally everywhere for the past 2 or 3 years, and I recently read Daisy Jones and the Six, the author's other book, and loved it. That was so good, and so I thought, okay, fine, I'll finally pick this up, and I'm planning on reading it soon because I think it's gonna be quite a fast read. This is a thriller, and I'm pretty sure it follows a group of people on a ship, and one of them dies, and the main character wakes up every single day in the body of a different person, and it's kind of like Groundhog Day, where they try to solve the murder, but through the body of someone else every single day. That's all I know about it. If that sounds confusing, it's probably because I am confused. Then I have a very thick book. This is The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova, and I'd never heard about this book until some booktuber, and I'm sorry, but I cannot remember who exactly talked about it, and I just thought this sounded right up my alley. This is kind of a dark academia meets Dracula, a spirited update of Bram Stoker's classic with a vastly ingenious plot in which Dracula has developed a mysterious penchant for librarians, filled with fascinating details of archaic vampire lore, the splendors of the Ottoman Empire, and the beauty of the Romanian countryside. Hello, I am Romanian. This is a book set in Romania. I will read it. Of course, I will read it. 3 more to go. I have a Man Called Ove by Fredrik Backman. Again, this I think is a lot of people's favorite book. I've heard only great things about it. I don't really know much about it. I know it's about an old man called Ove, and that it's supposed to be a very heartwarming story. It says, charming, you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll feel a new sympathy for the curmudgeons So many new words today. A curmudgeon, a bad-tempered person, especially an old one. I'm learning so much from this video. Thank you. Thank you, books, for teaching me things. This says, Ove is almost certainly the grumpiest man you will ever meet. Honestly, that's all I need to know. Then I have An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I have not read this book yet. And okay, that's probably a very vague statement. John Green is one of my favorite authors. He's one of the reasons why I am on YouTube in the first place, because I used to watch the Vlogbrothers all the time. Hank Green is John Green's brother. This is Hank Green's first book. It came out, I think, a couple of years ago. I just never picked it up. So I did. It's a contemporary novel, a very contemporary, literally very contemporary read. Literally mentions YouTube. So cool. And then the very last book I have to show you in this video is Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. I read Normal People by Sally Rooney and really liked it. So I had to buy her other book. Normal People was super addicting and I read it really quickly and I really, really enjoyed it. And so I just want to read more from her. It says, Frances is 21 years old, cool-headed and observant, a student in Dublin and an aspiring writer. At night she performs spoken word with her best friend Bobby, who used to be her girlfriend. When they are interviewed and then befriended by Melissa, a well-known journalist who is married to Nick, an actor, they enter into a world of beautiful houses. Seriously, what is it with this video? I swear to God, I've never heard of these words before. Raucous? Making or constituting a disturbingly harsh and loud noise. Oh, ruckus! Is that how you spell ruckus? Okay, moving on. When Frances and Nick get unexpectedly closer, the sharply witty and emotion-averse Frances is forced to honestly confront her own vulnerabilities for the first time. It's probably about just a lot of people talking a lot to each other. And I assume I'm going to devour it very quickly, just like I did Normal People. Okay, those were all the books that I had to show you guys. It was a lot. I have a lot of shelves behind me and they are still essentially half full. I tried to distribute them so that it looks fuller than it is, but the whole idea is that I wanted space to expand in the future. And obviously I just bought all these books since I moved in. So that's not going so well. But I wanted to celebrate just moving into a house and building this library. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you like them, if you didn't like them, what you think. I'll link all the books I showed you today, except for probably the ones I had from my childhood home, down in the description if you're interested in picking any of them up for yourself. And otherwise, let me know what is a recent book that you've bought recently. Words. I don't know words, so I'm gonna go brush up on my words. Yes, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time with a new video and more words in my mental library. Bye.